Why the world hated Jesus. Throughout history, human beings have exhibited a consistent pattern of rebellion against God. This rebellion has manifested itself in various forms, such as Adam and Eve's disobedience towards God's command, the Israelites' continuous straying from God's commandments, and the many false prophets that arose during the time of Elijah. The world's rebellion against God has always come with punishment, resulting in the global flood that destroyed the wicked men off the face of the earth, the suffering of the Israelites who dwelt in deserts, and the carrying away of the people unto Babylon. But nothing new is under the sun. Just as evil men hated God within their hearts, so did they hate Jesus, who was God in the flesh. John 1:1 establishes the profound truth that God is the Word and that He personifies truth itself. Moreover, in John 1:14 we learn that this Word, who is God, chose to become flesh and dwell among us. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld His glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. As Jesus Christ, He walked among humanity, revealing the secrets of people and exposing their sins through His teachings and actions. Just as people in old times refused to hold on to the knowledge of God, those who hated God also hated Jesus. This revelation left no room for individuals to hide behind a cloak of self-righteousness or darkness. As Jesus says in John 15:22-23, "If I had not come and spoken to them, they would have no sin, but now they have no excuse for their sin. He who hates me hates my Father also." Consequently, those who preferred darkness over light, haunted by Jesus' unwavering righteousness and divinity, developed an intense hatred for Him. Because His righteousness exposed their wicked deeds, even after the crucifixion of Jesus, the darkness of the world has not ceased to despise Him. His resurrection and ascension did not extinguish this hatred, but rather intensified it. Just as Ecclesiastes 1:9 reminds us, "What has been will be again, what has been done will be done again." There is nothing new under the sun. Just as the world had hated God in the past, it reacted similarly when God was manifested in human form. The wickedness that led to the slaying of God in their hearts before the coming of Jesus subsequently resulted in His physical death, driven by anger and rejection. John 15:18-19 acknowledges that the revelation of truth brought by Jesus eradicated the ability of individuals to conceal or deny their sins. His truth shed light on the lies that people lived in. Jesus says, "If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you." This exposure of darkness, while necessary for redemption, was met with hostility because many people clung to the darkness and were averse to the light that Jesus brought. The pure words and righteous ways of Jesus stood in stark contrast to the sinful nature of the world, causing further animosity towards Him. Jesus warns us of the hatred that members of Christ's community will face, reflecting the continuation of this historical contempt for Jesus. As believers, we are not exempt from this hatred. Therefore, we must remain steadfast in our faith, resist following the ways of the world, and instead choose to walk with Jesus. We can take solace in Acts 5:41, where the apostles found joy in suffering for the Lord. We, too, must find strength in our tribulations and persevere, just as the prophets, Jesus, and even His brothers suffered in this world. As Jesus says in Luke 6:22-23, "Blessed are you when people hate you, when they exclude you and insult you and reject your name as evil because of the Son of Man. Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, because great is your reward in heaven. For that is how their ancestors treated the prophets." The world's hatred for Jesus is not a new phenomenon. It is deeply rooted in humanity's historical rebellion against God. Jesus' revelation of truth, His exposure of darkness, and His embodiment of righteousness stirred up animosity among those driven by sin and darkness. This animosity persists even after His crucifixion and resurrection. As followers of Christ, we should brace ourselves for the world's hatred, take courage in our sufferings, and remain faithful till the end. Let us rejoice in the knowledge that just as God was grieved by the corruption in the world since its inception, our faithfulness will lead us to the eternal reward that awaits us at God's table.